Have you ever wanted something so bad, but when you finally get it, you sort of start questioning if you are actually worth that thing? That's how I felt at some point. Hey guys, welcome to yet another YouTube video. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of chit-chatting as well as some makeup. So I've always been someone that's like super ambitious, like ever since I was a little girl. I remember my mom saying, you know what, all those things that you're like, you're so young to be thinking. Where is you thinking? I always had that mentality, like, especially the whole thing about being global. I always knew that I wasn't going to sort of like be known just in this country. I was meant to go to places. I've always had that type of mentality. Always wanted to start a YouTube channel, for the longest of time, but I was like, okay, I'll wait until I get the right equipment for me to actually start. And when I did get that equipment, I was really scared because, see, this is me in uni, right? This is uni. There are new people, there are people from high school. I was just so scared, like, okay, so what are people going to think? And I feel like the thing that scares most people is like starting from zero. I was like, okay, like, what if it actually doesn't work out? And what if people laugh at me? So because of that, I spent 3 years in a country that had all the resources that I needed, and I had the equipment to do what I wanted to do, but I didn't. When I had everything that I needed to start what I wanted to do, I still made excuses because I was like, yeah, the fear of just like, what are people going to think about me? That was just like a major part. And I feel like we really do that a lot where we pray for something, or rather we wait on something, or we hope on something, and when that thing is actually given to us, we're so scared of our own power. That's how I felt like I've always been. But you know what really drives me crazy is the rooms I've been in right now, the people that I've met. Sometimes I just ask myself, like, how? But then it's like, you've always known it. You've always known that you're destined for great things. You've always known that you were not meant to be small, you were meant to be big. So it's like when it actually starts happening, sometimes we often question ourselves to be like, is this the right thing? Because at a certain point I just feel like, I'm being too much. I was like, I'm being too much. Because I want to be honest with you, I don't come from a trust fund. I'm not a trust fund baby. I come from a very normal family, but I've always dreamt big, I've always wanted more. And there are certain points in my life where I felt like maybe wanting more is actually a problem. I'm not saying don't be satisfied or don't be grateful for what you have, but the universe and God Himself, their resources are not limited. It's not only for a certain amount of people to be like, okay, it's enough people that are rich, so there's absolutely no way I can be there. Like, there's so many beauty gurus in the industry. There's so many people doing YouTube. Like, what's so different about me? No one does things the way that you do. So I was in a situation. I was like, okay, I want to start doing YouTube, but what exactly am I gonna do different? That can I make this work? I remember going through YouTube and I was listening to this YouTuber called Near Knowledge, and he was talking about how you have to start acting like that person that you want to be. Because I was asking myself, why am I apologetic? Why am I apologetic when this is everything that I've always wanted? Why do I feel the need to play small when these rooms are the exact rooms that I've always wanted to be? So I sort of had to take into account, like, okay, so like this version that I've always wanted to be, she's not really apologetic. She shows up because it's her art. It's what she chose to do. She doesn't have to explain. She doesn't feel the need to explain herself. Once I really understood that, sort of just changed my perspective and just changed the way that I did things. There are certain parts in my life where I felt like it was sort of like can't even say it an identity crisis, sort of like an imposter syndrome when I was just like, am I being overly ambitious, you know, or am I pretending to be someone I'm not, rather, you know? I was just thinking, okay, like, am I really supposed to want this life for myself? Because you know we are often taught to just be content with what we have. But I've always, like I said, I've always wanted more. So it was just a situation where I was just like, am I wrong for deciding to say, I'm gonna do what I have to do in order to get what I want to get. I had that thought. It really made me shrink myself in so many situations. I'm telling you why I always stress around, you know, the type of company that you keep around. I've always sort of felt like, okay, I'm being too much. Um, I have to, like, in certain rooms I have to be quiet. I have to just like fit in, because let's be quite honest, it's easier to just be like everyone else. Because if I am this person that's outspoken, this person that knows what they want, that always have their head up, is that not going to intimidate other people? So that was just the whole thing that I had going on. I was like, okay, what if it actually intimidates other people? What am I going to do about it? There's something that I stopped, the whole obsession of wanting to be understood, like being like, okay, I act the way that I act because of this. I stopped. I stopped doing that. I stopped craving that. And ever since then, I'm just like, I am going to be myself and I'm going to be unapologetic about it. You know, whoever is going to walk into my life, they already know I am this type of person. If they're not okay with it, that's a them problem. That has got nothing to do with me. And I feel like if I had that same mentality, I wouldn't have wasted so many opportunities, you know. I've just been trying to move with so much intention. I move without feeling apologetic anymore, and like whatever that life brings me, I take with my hands wide open, because it's like this is everything that I've ever wished for. Why do I have to pretend like I wasn't crying for this or I wasn't praying for this? To conclude, I do hope that you show up as the best version of yourself, and I hope you are unapologetic about it. You know, make people uncomfortable. It's not your responsibility to make sure that everyone feels like, oh, okay, you've been too much. Don't feel the need to fucking shrink yourself. Be loud, be creative, take up space, do what you need to do. Okay, I love you. Bye.